The hammer fell. Just like that, she belonged to a stranger. But the stranger wasn't the one who'd written the letter. He was the brother, the one with eyes like winter and a voice that cut clean when he said you shouldn't have come. Anna Barrett stood in that doorway with nothing but 7 cents and a 9-year-old boy who bore the scars of the monster hunting them. She had two choices: run back to the man who'd burn her brother alive, or step into a house with a dying man, a guilt-haunted cowboy, and a locked door that promised the one thing she'd never had: safety. What she didn't know was that in 6 months she'd stand before a grave telling a dead man she loved him. But not the way a wife should. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. This story begins 3 weeks earlier on a train platform in Colorado where Hope went to die. 6 months from now, Anna Barrett would stand before a grave and tell a dead man she loved him. But not the way a wife should. She would tell him she was sorry. Sorry for being alive when he wasn't. Sorry for wanting his brother. Sorry for every moment of relief she felt when he finally stopped breathing. But right now, stepping off the train in Pine Ridge, Colorado, November 1882, she didn't know any of that yet. She only knew she was running toward a man she'd never met to escape a man who would never let her go. The platform creaked beneath her worn boots. Steam hissed from the locomotive swirling around her ankles like something alive, something reaching. The air bit cold and sharp, carrying the smell of snow that hadn't fallen yet but would, soon. The mountains rose in the distance, white-topped and indifferent, watching her arrival the way they'd watched 1,000 other desperate souls step into this territory with nothing but hope and lies in their pockets. Anna's hand tightened on the small cloth bag that held everything she owned: 3 dresses, a hairbrush, her mother's Bible, the letter. She could feel it through the fabric, that letter, the paper worn soft from being read and reread during the 3-day journey from Boston. Words written in careful script by a man named William Whitmore, a rancher, a stranger, a man who'd promised safety in exchange for companionship, cooking a woman's presence in a house that had grown too quiet. Miss Barrett, I am a rancher in need of a wife. I offer a home, safety, and respect. If you come, you will want for nothing. She'd memorized every word, clung to them through the endless rocking of the train through the nights when she couldn't sleep, because every sound made her think Silas had found her, was coming for her, would drag her back to that house in Boston where the walls knew how to keep secrets and screams. Beside her, Tommy shifted his weight from foot to foot, 9 years old and already learning to be smaller than he was. His right hand stayed tucked against his side, hidden beneath the sleeve of his coat, where the scar tissue pulled tight and angry across his forearm. A gift from their uncle, a reminder of what happened to boys who cried too loud when they were hungry. Chi! Tommy's voice came out small, almost lost in the hiss of steam and the calls of the station master. Do you think he'll be nice? Anna looked down at her brothers, at the hope still visible in his eyes despite everything he'd seen. She wanted to protect that hope, wanted to lie and say yes. Of course the rancher would be nice. Of course they'd finally found somewhere safe. But she'd learned the hard way that wanting something didn't make it true. I think, she said carefully, that we'll find out together. The other passengers had already dispersed. A family with 3 children headed toward a waiting wagon. 2 men in suits carrying leather cases, probably lawyers or merchants. An older woman met by a younger one, embraces and tears and welcome home. No one came for Anna. She stood on the platform as the sun dipped lower, painting the snow-capped peaks orange and gold. Beautiful. This land was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Wild and vast and utterly unconcerned with the smallness of human suffering. Tommy pressed closer to her side. She could feel him shaking. Not from cold, from the thing that lived in both of them now. The thing Silas had planted with his fists and his words and his absolute certainty that they belonged to him the way a man owns livestock. The fear that nowhere would ever be far enough. Miss Barrett, Anna spun. Her hand went instinctively to Tommy, pushing him slightly behind her. A defensive gesture learned through practice. The man who'd spoken stood at the edge of the platform. Middle-aged, weathered skin, kind eyes beneath a worn hat. He held the reins of 2 horses hitched to a simple wagon. I'm Jacob, he said. His voice carried the slow, careful cadence of someone used to gentling, skittish animals. I work at the Whitmore Ranch. Mr. Whitmore sent me to fetch you. Anna's heart hammered. Where is Mr. Whitmore? Something flickered across Jacob's face. Pity, maybe, or regret. At the ranch, ma'am. It's a fair ride and from here. About 2 hours if we don't stop. He gestured to the wagon. I've got blankets in the back. It'll be cold once the sun sets proper. Anna didn't move. Every instinct screamed at her to ask more questions, to demand to know why William Whitmore hadn't come himself to meet his mail-order bride, to understand what that look on Jacob's face meant. But what choice did she have? The train was already pulling away, heading back east, back toward Boston, back toward Silas. She'd spent the last of her money on the tickets west, had exactly 7 cents in her pocket and the clothes on her back. All right, she heard herself say, we'll come. Jacob's shoulders relaxed slightly. He helped them into the wagon with a gentleness that made Anna's throat tight. Tommy scrambled into the back, burrowing under the blankets Jacob had promised. Anna sat on the hard wooden seat, her bag clutched in her lap like a shield. The wagon lurched into motion. The town of Pine Ridge fell away behind them. Small. Just a main street, a church, a general store, a handful of other buildings huddled together against the enormous emptiness of the territory. They rode in silence for a while. The only sounds were the creak of the wagon wheels, the steady clip of the horses' hooves, the wind moving through the scrub grass that lined the road. Anna watched the land change. The scattered buildings gave way to open country, rolling hills dotted with pine trees, rocky outcroppings that jutted from the earth like broken teeth. The sky stretched overhead, bigger than any sky had a right to be, shifting from gold to pink to the deep purple that came before true dark. It was Tommy who broke the silence. Mr. Jacob, his voice came from beneath the blankets. Is Mr. Whitmore waiting for us? Jacob's hands tightened on the reins, almost imperceptibly. But Anna noticed. She'd learned to notice the small tells, the tightening of a jaw, the shift in breathing, the tiny signals that came before violence. He is, Jacob said. Then after a pause that lasted too long, but I should warn you, ma'am. Anna's stomach dropped. Here it comes, she thought. The truth beneath the promise, the law underneath the letter. Mr. Whitmore, Jacob continued, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. He ain't the man he was when he wrote that letter. The words settled over her like snow, cold, inescapable. What do you mean? Her voice came out steady. She was proud of that. Proud that after everything she could still keep the fear from showing. Jacob was quiet for a long moment. The horses snorted, their breath visible in the cooling air. 3 weeks ago, he said finally, Mr. Whitmore had an accident. He was breaking a new horse. Young stallion, temperamental. The horse spooked. Threw him. He landed wrong. Anna waited, barely breathing. His back, Jacob said. The doctor says it's his spine. He can't walk, can't feel his legs, can't. He trailed off, then tried again. The doctor says he won't ever walk again. The wagon rolled on. The wheels turned. The world kept moving even as Anna's did not. A paralyzed husband, a man who'd sent for a wife when he was whole, healthy, capable. And now, he tried to send you a letter, Jacob said, telling you not to come. But by the time he dictated it and we got it posted, we figured you'd already left. We didn't know where to reach you. Anna closed her eyes. Behind her, Tommy had gone very still beneath the blankets. His brother Nate came back when he heard about the accident, Jacob continued. He's been helping care for William, managing the ranch. Nate's the one who said we should still meet you at the station. Said you'd probably already spent the money coming out here. Said turning you away wasn't Christian. Brother, the word registered distantly. William had a brother. Does Mr. Whitmore, Anna said carefully, still want a wife? Jacob's expression turned pained. Ma'am, I don't rightly know what Mr. Whitmore wants anymore. I just know he's hurting, and his brother's doing his best, and now you're here. The unspoken question hung in the air. What would she do now? Where would she go? Anna looked out at the darkening landscape, at the vast indifference of it. This was the edge of the world, the place people came when they'd run out of options everywhere else. She fit right in. How much farther? She asked. About an hour more. Anna nodded, pulled one of the blankets around her shoulders. The wool smelled like horse and smoke, and something clean. Pine, maybe. She didn't let herself think about what waited at the end of this road. Didn't let herself imagine the man lying broken in a bed, the brother who'd taken pity on a stranger he'd never met. Didn't let herself calculate the impossibility of her situation. One thing at a time. Survived the next hour, then the next, then the next. It was the only way she knew how to live. The ranch appeared as the last light bled from the sky. Anna saw it first as a dark shape against the horizon. Then as they drew closer, details emerged. A house, simple but solid, built from thick timbers. A barn larger than the house. A corral, smoke rising from a chimney barely visible against the darkening sky. Light glowed in the windows, warm, inviting, the kind of light that promised safety. Anna had learned not to trust promises. Jacob guided the horses into the yard. The wagon creaked to a stop. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the door of the house opened. A man stood silhouetted against the light from inside. Tall, broad-shouldered. He didn't step out onto the porch, just stood there, backlit features hidden in shadow. "That's Nate," Jacob said quietly. "William's brother." Anna's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs, willing them still. The man Nate finally moved, stepped out onto the porch. The light from the doorway caught him at an angle. Anna saw his face for the first time. Hard planes, strong jaw, dark with several days of beard growth. Eyes that reflected the lamplight, but revealed nothing else. He looked like the land, weathered, unyielding, marked by wind and work and winters that didn't forgive weakness. He didn't smile, didn't offer welcome, just looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You shouldn't have come," he said. The words hit like a slap. Simple, brutal, true. Anna stood. Her legs were stiff from the long ride. She climbed down from the wagon without waiting for help, then turned to lift Tommy down. The boy clung to her, his face pressed against her side. She looked at the man on the porch, met those unreadable eyes. "I'm Anna Barrett," she said. Her voice didn't shake. Another small victory. "I'm here to marry William Whitmore." Something shifted in the man's expression. Not quite pity, not quite respect. Something harder to name. "I'm Nate Whitmore," he said, "William's brother." He paused, then added, "You better come inside." He turned and walked back into the house. Not an invitation, more like a resignation. Anna looked at Jacob. The older man gave her an encouraging nod. "Go on, ma'am. I'll tend to the horses and bring your bag." There was nothing to do but follow. Anna walked up the 3 steps to the porch, Tommy's hand gripped tight in hers. The wood was solid beneath her feet, well maintained. She noticed these things, the details that told you about the people who lived in a place. The door stood open. She stepped through. Warmth hit her first. The house was heated by a large stone fireplace that dominated one wall of the main room. The fire crackled and popped, throwing dancing shadows across rough-hewn walls. The room was simple but clean. A table, chairs, shelves holding dishes and supplies. A cook stove in the corner. Everything functional. Nothing decorative. A man's space. Nate stood near the fireplace, his back to her. His shoulders were tense. She could see it in the line of his spine, the set of his neck. "William's in the bedroom," he said without turning around. His voice was low, controlled. "He knows you're here." Anna waited, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. Nate finally turned. The firelight caught his face fully now. She saw the exhaustion there, the deep lines carved by worry and sleepless nights. This was a man carrying weight he hadn't asked for. "Before you see him," Nate said, "you need to understand, my brother wrote that letter 3 months ago, before the accident. He was a different man then." He paused, seemed to struggle with the next words. "He's still a good man, but he can't be the husband you were expecting." Anna's throat was tight. "I understand." "Do you?" Nate's eyes searched her face. "Because if you're here looking for security for a man to provide for you, you need to know that William can't even provide for himself anymore. He needs constant care, help with everything, bathing, dressing, eating." His jaw tightened. "He's 28 years old and he has to be carried to the privy like a child." The words were harsh, deliberately so, like he was trying to scare her away. Anna lifted her chin. "I didn't come here looking for easy, Mr. Whitmore. I came here looking for safe." Something flickered in his eyes, a question maybe, but he didn't ask it. Instead, he nodded toward a door on the far side of the room. "He's in there. I'll give you a moment." Anna walked to the door. Her hand on the knob was steady. She'd learned to be steady when everything inside her was screaming. She opened the door. The room was small, a single window, a dresser, A bed. In the bed lay a man. William Whitmore had been handsome once. She could see it in the shape of his face and the color of his eyes. Sandy hair, a gentle mouth. He looked like his brother, but softer. Less carved by hardship. He was thin now, too thin. The kind of weight loss that came from pain and lack of appetite. His face was pale against the white pillow. His hands rested on top of the quilt, and she noticed how carefully they were positioned. Deliberate, like he'd placed them there himself because they were the only part of him he could still control. When he saw her, something complex moved across his features. Hope, shame, resignation. Miss Barrett, his voice was weak but steady. I'm sorry. The apology broke something in her chest. She moved into the room, slowly, giving him time to object if he wanted privacy. But he just watched her approach with those gentle eyes. I'm Anna, she said. She stood at the foot of the bed, her hands clasped in front of her. You wrote me a letter. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. I did. I promised you a home, safety, respect. He paused. I didn't know I'd be in a position where I couldn't keep those promises. You didn't promise to be whole, Anna said quietly. You promised to be honest. William's eyes glistened. He blinked hard. I wrote you another letter, after the accident, telling you not to come, but Nate said it probably wouldn't reach you in time. It didn't. Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, just heavy with all the things neither of them knew how to say. I spent my last money getting here, Anna said. It wasn't a plea, just a fact. I have a brother. He's 9. We have nowhere else to go. William closed his eyes. Your family? Dead or worse than dead. He understood what that meant. She could see it in the tightening of his expression. Miss Barrett, he said, opening his eyes again. Anna, I can't be a husband to you. I can't walk, can't work. The doctor says I'll likely never... He couldn't finish the sentence. I'm a burden. To Nate. To everyone. You're not a burden, Anna said. I am. His voice was firmer now. But you don't have to carry it. Nate will give you money for the return fare. It's only right. Anna thought about the train ride back. Thought about stepping onto the platform in Boston. Thought about Silas waiting. He would be waiting. Men like him always were. What if I don't want to go back? She asked. William stared at her. Why would you study, Mary? Because Anna said simply, I can cook, I can clean, I can care for someone who needs help. She met his eyes. And in exchange, maybe I can have that room you mentioned in your letter. Safety for me and my brother. Wages if you're willing. She watched him process this, saw the war playing out across his face, pride fighting with practicality, shame wrestling with hope. You'd stay, he asked, knowing I can't be what I promised. You're not the only one who isn't what you promised, Anna said. She thought of her letter back to him, the one where she'd presented herself as educated, respectable, the daughter of a merchant who'd fallen on hard times. All true technically, but the truth had so many layers she'd left out. I have nowhere else to go, and you need help. Maybe that's enough. The door opened behind her. Nate stepped in. He looked between them, his expression unreadable. She wants to stay, William said. As help, not as... He couldn't say the word wife. Nate's eyes found Anna's, sharp, assessing. You understand what you're agreeing to. I understand I'm agreeing to work, Anna said, for room and board and wages. For me and my brother. $20 a month, Nate said abruptly. You'll care for William, cook for the household, keep the house. Tommy can help with lighter chores. You'll have the spare room. Lock on the door. He paused, then added with deliberate emphasis, my word on that, you'll be safe here. Anna's breath caught, the way he said it, like he knew, like he understood that safe was worth more than money, more than comfort, more than anything else she could have asked for. All right, she whispered. Nate nodded once. Jacob's bringing in your bag. I'll show you to your room. He left. Anna looked down at William, the man who would have been her husband, who was now her employer, her responsibility. Thank you, William said, his eyes were wet, for not running. Anna thought about all the running she'd done, all the times she'd fled instead of fought, all the years of making herself smaller, quieter, less. I'm tired of running, she said. It was the truest thing she'd said in years. The room Nate showed her was small but clean. A bed, a dresser, a window that looked out over the dark fields. The lock on the door was new. She could see where it had been recently installed, the wood around the screws still fresh and pale. Tommy tumbled onto the bed, exhausted from the journey. Within minutes, he was asleep, still fully clothed, his small body curled into a tight ball. Anna stood at the window. Outside, the world was black and vast. No lights except the stars. No sounds except the wind. She pressed her hand against the cold glass, felt the chill seep into her palm. In Boston, Silas would have discovered they were gone by now. Would have gone to the boarding house where they'd been staying, found it empty. Would have started asking questions. Silas was good at asking questions, good at finding answers. But Boston was 3 days away by train, and trains cost money. And even Silas couldn't search the entire West. Could he? Anna closed her eyes, willed herself to believe in distance, in the protection of mountains and miles. Behind her, Tommy murmured something in his sleep. She turned and looked at her brother, at the scar on his arm visible where his sleeve had ridden up. A burn, perfectly circular, the exact size of Silas's cigar. That scar was 2 years old. There were others, some visible, some not. Anna walked to the bed, carefully pulled the blanket over Tommy, smoothed his hair back from his forehead. He didn't wake, just sighed and burrowed deeper into the mattress. "We're safe," she whispered. "We're going to be safe." She wanted so badly for it to be true. The house was quiet when she finally ventured out of the room. The fire in the main room had burned down to embers. The lamps were dimmed. She found Nate in his kitchen standing at the window. He had a cup of something steaming in his hands. Coffee, probably. He didn't turn when she entered. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Not yet." He nodded, like he understood. "There's coffee on the stove, cups on the shelf." Anna poured herself a cup. The coffee was strong, bitter, perfect. They stood in silence for a while, two strangers in a quiet house. "Thank you," Anna said finally, "for the wages, the room, for not turning us away." Nate's shoulders shifted, not quite a shrug. "William wanted you to come. Would have married you if he could. Least I can do is make sure you were provided for. Still, you didn't have to." Now he did turn, looked at her with those hard, measuring eyes. "You said you came here looking for safe. What were you running from?" Anna's hands tightened on the cup. "Family." One word, but the way she said it made the meaning clear. Nate's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted. A kind of recognition. "They know where you are." "I don't think so, but I thought we'd lost him before." "Him," Anna hesitated. Then, because Nate had given her a room with a lock and wages, in his words, she said, "My uncle, Silas Brennan. He took us in when our father died. She stopped. Couldn't find words for what Silas had done, what he'd tried to do, what he would do if he found them. Nate waited, patient, not pushing. "He thinks we belong to him," Anna finished, "like property. He won't stop looking." "How long ago did you leave?" 8 days. Nate nodded slowly, processing. "Long way from Boston to here. Lot of places to hide in between." "I hope so." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he set his cup down, crossed to a drawer, pulled out a piece of paper and a pencil. "Write down his name," he said. "Physical description. Anything else I should know?" Anna's hand shook as she took the pencil. "Why, because," Nate said, his voice flat and certain, "if he comes here, I want to recognize him before he gets close." Something in Anna's chest loosened, just slightly, just enough to let her breathe a little deeper. She wrote, "Silas Brennan, tall, thin, dark hair going gray, scar above left eyebrow, speaks with a Boston accent, educated, charming when he wants to be." She almost added dangerous, but she figured that was implied. Nate took the paper, studied it, folded it, and put it in his pocket. "Get some sleep," he said. "Morning comes early on a ranch." Anna nodded, started toward her room, then stopped. Looked back. "Mr. Whitmore." "Nate. Nate, why are you helping us, really?" He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then his voice low and rough, he said, "Because nobody helped me when I needed it, and I've spent 3 years wishing they had." He didn't explain what he meant, just turned back to the window. back to watching the darkness. Anna went to her room, locked the door, lay down next to Tommy on the narrow bed. Outside, the wind picked up. She could hear it moving through the eaves, could feel the house settle and creak around them. This place was temporary. She knew that. Nothing this good could last. Silas would find them, or Nate would change his mind, or William would die, and they'd be turned out, or any of 100 other disasters would unfold. But for tonight, Tommy was warm and fed and sleeping without nightmares. For tonight, there was a locked door between them and the world. For tonight, that was enough. Anna closed her eyes and let herself pretend that morning might bring something other than fresh terror. Just this once, she let herself pretend tomorrow could be kind. The first week passed in a blur of routine. Anna woke before dawn, made coffee, prepared breakfast, brought William his meal on a tray, and helped him eat when his hands shook too badly to manage the spoon himself. She learned his needs quickly, how to help him shift position to prevent sores, how to change his bedding without causing him pain, how to read the tightness around his eyes that meant the ache in his back had grown unbearable. She learned the shape of the house, where the dishes lived, which floorboards creaked, how to bank the fire at night so it would last until morning. She learned Nate's patterns too, though he was harder to read. He left before first light most mornings, spent the day managing the ranch, feeding livestock, mending fences, chopping wood, all the work that had been William's before the accident. He came in after dark, ate whatever Anna had prepared, spoke little, disappeared into the barn to sleep. She didn't ask why he didn't sleep in the house, didn't ask about the careful distance he maintained from her or from William, from everything that might require him to feel something. Tommy adapted faster than Anna expected. The boy trailed after Nate in the evenings, watching him care for the horses, learning how to curry a coat and check hooves and speak in the low, calm voice that kept animals steady. Nate was patient with him, more patient than Anna had dared hope. He showed Tommy how to hold a brush, how to approach a horse without startling it, never raised his voice, never lifted a hand. Tommy started to relax, just a little. The permanent tension in his shoulders eased. He smiled sometimes, small smiles, tentative but real. Anna watched this and felt something dangerous bloom in her chest. Hope. She tried to crush it. Hope was what got you hurt, but it grew anyway. On the fifth night, she stood at the window of her room and watched Nate cross from the house to the barn. His silhouette dark against the star-filled sky. He moved like he was tired, more than tired, exhausted down to the bone. She thought about him sleeping in that barn, in the cold, alone. She thought about the way he'd helped Tommy learn to brush the horses, the gentleness in those work-roughened hands. She thought about the lock on her door, the promise of safety, and she wondered what ghost Nate Whitmore was running from that made him exile himself from his own home. The answer came on the sixth night. Anna woke to the sound of raised voices. She sat up fast, heart pounding. For a terrible moment, she thought Silas had found them. But then she recognized the voices. Nate and William, coming through the wall that separated her room from William's. She shouldn't listen. She knew that. But the walls were thin, and the night was quiet, and she couldn't help but hear. You can't keep punishing yourself. William's voice, weak but urgent. I'm not. Nate, flat, defensive. You sleep in the barn, Nate, in November. You barely eat. You work yourself like you're trying to die from exhaustion. Someone has to do the work. I'm not talking about the work. A pause. Then softer, I'm talking about Rachel. Silence. Long enough that Anna thought Nate had left. Then his voice came again. Different now, raw, like something had torn open. Don't. It's been 3 years. I know how long it's been. Each word cut short, brutal. I know exactly how long. It wasn't your fault. You don't know that. The doctor said her heart was weak, said childbirth would be too much for her. And I said we'd try anyway. Nate's voice cracked. I wanted a child so badly I forgot she was sick. The doctor said, wait. I said we'd be fine. I said I'd take care of her. I promised her. Anna pressed her hand over her mouth, barely breathing. She died screaming my name. Nate's voice was barely above a whisper now, destroyed. She died begging me to save her. The baby too. I listened to them both die, and I couldn't do anything. couldn't fix it, couldn't take it back. So now you think you don't deserve to live. William's voice was gentle. That's why you're here. Why you came back when you heard about my accident. I came back because you're my brother. You came back because you think saving me will make up for not saving her. The silence that followed was confirmation. Nate, William's voice was tired, so tired. You can't earn your way out of grief. It doesn't work like that. Then tell me what does work, because I've tried everything else. Anna heard movement, footsteps, the sound of a door closing. Then nothing but the wind outside and the hammering of her own heart. She lay back down, stared at the ceiling, thought about the man sleeping in the barn who blamed himself for death, the brother lying in bed who blamed himself for being a burden, herself hiding in a locked room terrified of being found. 3 people, she thought, all broken in different ways, all running from different ghosts, and somehow landed together in this small house at the edge of the world. She didn't sleep much that night, but when morning came, she got up anyway, made coffee, prepared breakfast, brought William his tray. He looked at her with knowing eyes. You heard, he said quietly. Anna didn't bother denying it. Walls are thin. William nodded. My brother thinks he killed his wife and his child. He's been dying by inches ever since. He paused. I thought getting him back here might help, might give him something to focus on besides his guilt. A bitter smile. Then I went and got myself crippled. Now I'm just one more person he has to save. Anna set the tray down, helped William sit up, arranging the pillows behind his back. He doesn't seem like the kind of man who wants to be saved, she said. No, he wants to do the saving, that's the problem. William picked up his spoon, hands shaking only slightly today. He's trying to earn redemption through work, through sacrifice. Like if he suffers enough, somehow the scales will balance. Does it work? What do you think? Anna thought about her own guilt, about leaving Boston while other girls stayed trapped with men like Silas, about saving Tommy but not being able to save anyone else. No, she said. I don't think it works. William ate in silence for a moment. Then Anna, can I ask you something? All right. Why did you really stay? Not the practical reasons, the real one. Anna looked out the window at the vast empty land, the sky so big it hurt. Because I wanted to stop running, she said, even if just for a little while, even if it's not forever. I wanted to stand still and see if the world would let me. William nodded slowly, like he understood. And has it let you to? I don't know yet. She met his eyes, but I'm going to find out. The second week brought the first real cold. The temperature dropped 20 degrees overnight. Anna woke to find frost on the inside of the windows, delicate patterns of ice that caught the early light. She dressed quickly, layered every piece of clothing she owned, made her way to the kitchen. The fire had died in the night. The house was freezing. She was rebuilding the fire when the front door opened. Nate stepped in, arms full of split wood. His breath came out in white clouds. Brought extra, he said. Going to be a cold one. He stacked the wood by the fireplace. Anna noticed his hands, red and chapped. No gloves. You need gloves, she said before she could stop herself. He looked at her, surprised, like he'd forgotten she could speak. Lost them, he said. Couple days back. Haven't made it to town for new ones. Anna thought about the mittens in her bag. Thick wool. She'd knitted them herself last winter. They'd be too small for Nate's hands, but better than nothing. I'll find you something, she heard herself say. Nate studied her for a moment, then nodded. Obliged. He turned to leave, stopped, turned back. Miss Barrett, Anna. He seemed to struggle with the words. I appreciate the work you're doing. With William. It's more than we had a right to ask. You're paying me. It's still more than we had a right to ask. They looked at each other across the cold room. 2 people trying to figure out how to exist in the same space without causing harm. Your brother is easy to care for, Anna said. He's kind. Something shifted in Nate's expression. He is, always has been. A pause. He deserves better than this. Better than what being cared for, having a roof over his head, people who want to help him. Nate's jaw tightened. Better than being crippled. Maybe, Anna said quietly, but we don't get to choose what happens to us. Only what we do about it. She didn't know where the words came from, didn't know what made her brave enough to say them to this heartbroken man. But Nate heard them. She could see it in the way his shoulders shifted. The way he looked at her was something that might have been respect. "No," he said softly. "I guess we don't." He left then, back out into the cold. Anna watched him go, thought about the wife who died, the guilt he carried, the way he punished himself with cold and distance and endless work. She went to her room, found the mittens. They were too small like she'd known they would be. But she brought them to the barn that evening anyway. Left them on a barrel just inside the door where he'd find them. The next morning they were gone. And the morning after that, she found a pair of eggs on the porch. Fresh, still warm, left without a word or a note. Anna picked them up, held them in her cold hands. Felt something shift in her chest. It wasn't much. An exchange of small kindnesses. Mittens for eggs. Nothing that changed the fundamental truth of their situation. But it was something. And in a world where Silas existed, where uncles burned nephews with cigars and wives died screaming, where paralyzed men apologized for being burdens, sometimes something was enough. 2 weeks and 3 days after Anna arrived, the first snow fell. She woke to find the world transformed. White, pure, beautiful in a way that took her breath away. Tommy pressed his face to the window, eyes wide. He'd never seen this much snow. In Boston, it had been dirty slush by the time it reached the streets. This was different. This covered everything, made the harsh land soft. "Can I go out in it?" Tommy asked. Anna thought about the cold, about how they only had one coat between them, too thin for this weather, about how Tommy's boots were worn through at the sole. But she also thought about the wonder in his eyes, the first real joy she'd seen there since before their father died. "Yes," she said, "but stay close to the house." Tommy was out the door before she finished the sentence. Anna watched him from the window, watched him spin with his arms out, catching snowflakes on his tongue, watched him fall backward into the snow and make an angel laughing. When was the last time she'd heard him laugh? She was still watching when Nate came around the corner of the barn. He stopped when he saw Tommy. For a long moment, he just stood there observing. Then he bent down, scooped up a handful of snow and threw it. It hit Tommy square in the chest. The boy froze. Anna's heart stopped. Then Tommy grinned, the biggest, brightest grin Anna had ever seen. He scooped up his own handful of snow and threw it back. It missed by a mile. Nate made a show of ducking anyway. And then they were playing. A grown man and a 9-year-old boy throwing snow at each other, laughing like neither of them had a care in the world. Anna pressed her hand against the cold window, felt tears on her cheeks, and didn't bother wiping them away. This moment, this perfect, impossible moment, she wanted to hold it, preserve it, keep it safe from everything that would try to destroy it. Behind her, she heard William's voice, "Anna, he..." She turned. He was awake, must have heard the laughter. "What's happening?" She helped him sit up enough to see out his window. He couldn't see much from the angle of his bed, but he could see enough. Could see his brother playing in the snow. William's breath caught. "When's the last time he did that?" "I don't know." 3 years, William said softly. "At least. He's been so buried in grief and guilt. I'd forgotten he could still be human, be happy." They watched together. The snow fell. The world turned white. And for just a moment, the house held something other than pain. But moments Anna had learned never lasted. The rider appeared 2 days later. Anna was hanging laundry. The snow had melted enough to make it possible, though, the clothes would take forever to dry in the cold. Tommy was helping Nate in the barn. William was sleeping. She heard the horse before she saw it. Turned to see a man on horseback approaching from the direction of town. Her first thought was Silas. Pure panic. She dropped the shirt she was holding and ran. Made it 3 steps before she realized the rider was too old, too heavy. Not Silas, but still a stranger. Anna forced herself to breathe, forced herself to walk calmly back to the clothesline, to pick up the shirt, to keep working while her heart hammered. The rider stopped at the house, dismounted. An older man, gray-haired, kind-faced. He tied his horse and walked to the door. Nate emerged from the barn before the man could knock. Tommy followed, staying close to Nate's side. "Help you," Nate's voice carried across the yard. Not friendly, not hostile, neutral. I'm looking for Nathaniel Whitmore, the man said. You found him. I'm Richard Hayes from Pine Ridge. He paused. I heard you might have a woman staying here. A Miss Barrett. Anna's hands went still on the laundry, every muscle in her body tensed. Nate's posture changed, became more rigid, more defensive. Might, Nate said. What's it to you? Well, Hayes said, and his voice was apologetic. There's been some questions about a woman and child arriving in town, about the arrangement here. Arrangement. An unmarried woman living with two men. Hayes shifted his weight. I'm not saying anything untoward is happening, you understand. But there's talk. And when there's talk, the law has to look into it. Nate's hands curled into fists. The law. I'm not here to cause trouble, Mr. Whitmore. Just to make sure everyone's being treated proper. Anna made herself walk across the yard, made herself approach these two men even though everything in her screamed to hide. I'm Anna Barrett, she said. Her voice was steady, proud of that. I work here. I care for Mr. William Whitmore. I'm paid wages. I have my own room with a lock on the door. My brother helps with chores. There's nothing improper about the arrangement. Hayes looked at her. His expression wasn't unkind. I'm sure that's true, ma'am, but folks in town, they wonder. A young woman, two men, no chaperone, no marriage. I don't need a chaperone, Anna said. I need a job. And Mr. Whitmore needs help caring for his brother. Still, the appearance of things matters. To who? Nate's voice was cold. To busybodies with nothing better to do than gossip. To the community, Hayes said firmly. Like it or not, Mr. Whitmore, you're part of this community, and the community has standards. Anna felt something cold settle in her stomach. She recognized this, had seen it before. The way people used morality as a weapon, the way they decided what was proper and who deserved protection. What are you asking? Nate said. Hayes hesitated. I'm asking if Miss Barrett is here of her own free will, if she's being treated fairly. If there's any reason the law should intervene. The only reason the law should intervene, Nate said, is if someone's being hurt. Is Miss Barrett hurt? Hayes looked at Anna. Ma'am. No, Anna said. I'm not hurt. I'm safer here than I've been in years. The truth of it rang in her voice. Hayes nodded slowly. All right then. I'll report back that everything seems in order. He paused. But ma'am, you should know, there's a man been asking questions in town about a woman and a boy traveling alone. He's offering money for information. The world tilted. Anna grabbed onto the fence rail to keep from falling. What man? Nate's voice was sharp. Didn't give a name. Tall, dark hair going gray, scar above his left eye. Said he was looking for family. Silas. Nate moved fast. Stepped between Anna and Hayes. This man. Did you tell him anything? No, sir. Didn't sit right with me. The way he asked. Too intense, too. Hayes trailed off. I'm a father, Mr. Whitmore. I know the difference between a man looking for family and a man looking for property. Anna's vision was swimming. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Silas was here, in Pine Ridge, asking questions, offering money. He'd found them. Tommy made a small sound, a whimper. He pressed against Nate's leg. Nate's hand came down on the boy's shoulder. Protective, firm. This man, Nate said to Hayes, if he comes back, you tell him Miss Barrett isn't here. You tell him she went east. Different direction entirely. You understand? Hayes looked between them. At Anna's white face, at Tommy's fear, at Nate's protective stance. I understand, he said quietly. I'll spread the word. But Mr. Whitmore, if this man is determined, lies won't stop him for long. Then I'll stop him another way. The promise in Nate's voice was iron. Absolute. Hayes nodded. You take care, Miss Barrett. Boy. He mounted his horse. I'll see myself out. He rode away. The sound of hoofbeats faded. Anna couldn't move. Couldn't process what had just happened. Silas was here. In Pine Ridge. 2 hours away. The snow that had seemed so beautiful yesterday now felt like a trap. They were isolated. Miles from town, from help, from anywhere to run. Anna. Nate's voice. Close. Look at me. She couldn't. If she looked at him, if she saw pity or judgment, or worst of all, fear she would shatter. Anna, firmer now, a command, not a your request. She looked up. Nate's eyes were hard, not with anger, with determination. Listen to me, he said. This man, Silas, he's not getting near you or Tommy. I don't care what he offers. I don't care what he threatens. He's not touching either of you. You don't know him, Anna whispered. You don't know what he's capable of. I know what I'm capable of. Nate's voice was deadly calm. And I'm telling you, he won't get past me. Tommy was crying silently. Anna gathered him into her arms, felt him shake. We should leave, she said, before he finds this place, before he brings trouble to you and William. No, simple, final. Mr. Whitmore. Nate, and no, you're not leaving. You're not running anymore. He looked at her, really looked at her. You said you wanted to stand still, to see if the world would let you. Well, here's your answer. I'm letting you. This land is letting you. And if Silas Brennan has a problem with that, he can take it up with me. Anna wanted to believe him, wanted so badly to believe that this hard man with his ghosts and his guilt could stand between her and Silas. But she'd learned not to believe in protection. Protection was a lie men told before they failed you. I appreciate the offer, she said quietly, but when he comes, if he comes, Nate interrupted, he'll find a woman under my protection, and a boy under my care, and a brother who will back my word, and a community that's already been warned not to help him. He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the lines around his eyes, the determination in them. You're not alone anymore, Anna, he said, whether you believe that or not. You're not alone. The words hit her like a blow because she wanted them to be true, and because she knew with the cold certainty of experience that wanting something didn't make it so. But standing there in the snow with Tommy shaking in her arms and Nate's promise hanging in the air between them, Anna let herself pretend. Just for a moment. Just long enough to take one more breath. The world could destroy her tomorrow. Today she chose to believe she might survive. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. She lay in the darkness, listening to Tommy's breathing beside her, trying to find comfort in the steadiness of it. But her mind wouldn't rest. It kept circling back to the same image. Silas in Pine Ridge. Silas asking questions. Silas offering money. Men could be bought. She knew that. Knew it in the marrow of her bones. Richard Hayes had seemed kind, had seemed like the type who wouldn't betray a woman in need. But Silas had charm when he wanted it, had money, had the ability to make lies sound like truth and truth sound like madness. How long before someone told him about the Whitmore ranch, about the woman and boy who'd arrived 3 weeks ago? How long before he came? Anna pressed her hand against her mouth to keep from making a sound. She would not cry. Crying changed nothing. Crying was a luxury she couldn't afford. Instead, she made plans. Escape routes. Places they could hide if Silas came. How far she and Tommy could run if they had a head start. Whether they could make it to the next town, the next territory somewhere Silas wouldn't think to look. But even as she planned, she knew. There was nowhere far enough. Nowhere Silas wouldn't eventually find them. He was patient, methodical, and he believed with the absolute certainty of a man who'd never been told no that Anna and Tommy belonged to him. The sky was just beginning to lighten when she finally gave up on sleep. She rose quietly, dressed in the dark, and made her way to the kitchen. Nate was already there. He sat at the table, a cup of coffee in his hands, staring at nothing. He looked like he hadn't slept either. His hair was disheveled, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar. The lamplight caught the planes of his face, casting shadows that made him look older than his 31 years. He glanced up when she entered. Couldn't sleep. It wasn't a question. No, Anna said. She moved to the stove, checked the coffee. Still hot. Poured herself a cup. They sat in silence for a while. The kind of silence that came from two people too tired to pretend everything was fine. Finally, Nate spoke. Tell me about him. Silas. Anna's hands tightened on the cup. Why Boxby? Because if he comes here, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Anna looked into her coffee, saw her reflection distorted in the dark liquid. He's not the kind of man you can fight. Every man can be fought. Not Silas. He's educated, respectable, knows how to use the law, how to make himself look like the victim. She paused. He'll tell people I stole from him, that I owe him money, that he took us in out of Christian charity, and I repaid him with theft and lies. Did you steal from him? Anna met Nate's eyes. I took food, bread, cheese, things he'd never miss, to feed Tommy when Silas decided we didn't deserve supper. That's not stealing, that's survival. The law won't see it that way. Silas will have receipts, ledgers, proof of how much he spent on our care. He'll make it look like we owe him hundreds of dollars. Nate's jaw tightened. Even if that were true, you can't be imprisoned for debt. No, but Tommy can be taken from me, placed with a guardian who can provide for him properly. Anna's voice cracked. Silas will volunteer. We'll show the court how generous he is, how willing to forgive. And then he'll have you both back. Yes. Nate was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was measured, controlled. The law's not the only power in this territory. Anna looked at him sharply. What does that mean? It means there are things a man can do that don't involve courts or judges. Nate's eyes were hard. If Silas comes here, if he tries to take you or Tommy, the law won't be his biggest problem. The implication was clear. Violence. Maybe worse. Anna should have been horrified, should have told Nate that wasn't the answer, that violence only bred more violence. But all she felt was a terrible, shameful relief. You don't know him, she said again. He's not someone you can just intimidate. Neither am I. Nate stood, walked to the window, looked out at the dark fields. I've killed men, Anna, in the war, in self-defense. I know what it takes, what it costs. He turned back to her. And I'm telling you, if it comes to that, I won't hesitate. Anna believed him, saw it in the set of his shoulders, the steadiness of his gaze. This was a man who'd already lost everything that mattered, who had nothing left to lose. It should have frightened her. Instead, for the first time since Richard Hayes had spoken Silas's name, Anna felt something other than terror. She felt protected. And that was perhaps the most dangerous feeling of all. The cold came in earnest 3 days later. The temperature dropped so fast that water left in buckets overnight froze solid. The wind howled down from the mountains, cutting through every gap in the walls, every crack in the windows. Anna woke shivering, despite the blankets piled on the bed. Tommy was curled against her, seeking warmth. She could see her breath in the air. The fire had died in the night. She dressed quickly, layering everything she owned, made her way to the main room. The house was freezing. Ice had formed on the inside of the windows in delicate, deadly patterns. She rebuilt the fire with numb fingers, fed it kindling and then larger pieces until flames began to catch and spread. Slowly, painfully slowly, the room began to warm. She was making coffee when Nate came in from outside. He was covered in snow, his face red from cold and wind. "Storm's coming," he said. His voice was rough, like the cold had scraped it raw. "Big one, I can smell it." Anna looked out the window. The sky was gray and low, pressing down on the land like a threat. "How long?" "Day, maybe 2 if we're lucky." Nate stamped snow off his boots. "I need to bring the livestock in close. Make sure we have enough feed, enough wood." "What can I do?" Nate looked at her, seemed to weigh something. "Keep the fires going. Check on William. Make sure the windows are sealed tight." He paused. "And fill every container you can find with water. If the well freezes, we'll need it." Anna nodded. Nate turned to leave. "Mr. Whitmore." She caught herself. "Nate." He stopped, looked back. "Be careful." Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, maybe? Like he'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone care whether he came back. "Always am," he said. But there was something in his eyes that made Anna think that wasn't quite true. The storm hit that night. Anna had never experienced weather like this. In Boston, winter was cold and miserable, but this was different. This was wind that screamed and tore at the house like something alive. Snow so thick you couldn't see 3 feet in any direction. Cold that burned in your lungs and made your bones ache. She kept the fire roaring, went through their wood supply faster than she'd meant to, checked on William every hour, made sure he was warm, that the cold wasn't seeping into his room. Tommy stayed close to her, frightened by the howling wind. She told him stories to distract him, made up fairy tales about brave boys and enchanted forests, anything to take his mind off the storm. By midnight, the house was creaking and groaning under the assault. Anna could feel it shaking, could hear things outside being torn loose and blown away. She was checking the windows when she heard a loud crack from outside, sharp and violent, like something breaking. She pressed her face to the cold glass, trying to see through the driving snow. A shape, moving, Stumbling. Nate. Anna's heart stopped. She ran to the door, threw it open. The wind nearly knocked her back. Nate! She screamed into the storm. He appeared out of the swirling white like a ghost, covered in snow, moving slowly, too slowly. Anna grabbed his arm, pulled him inside. He was shaking, his lips were blue. Ice had formed in his beard. The barn. His voice was barely audible. Part of the roof collapsed. Anna shoved the door closed against the wind, helped Nate to the fire. His hands were red and swollen, frostbitten. "Take off your coat," she ordered. "Your boots, everything wet." Nate obeyed mechanically. His movements were sluggish. Hypothermia, Anna realized. He was well on his way to freezing to death. She worked quickly, got him out of the wet clothes, wrapped him in blankets, made him sit as close to the fire as he could stand. "The horses," Nate said through chattering teeth. "I had to get them out, had to move them to the other side of the barn. The feed, it's buried, ruined." "How much?" Nate closed his eyes. "Maybe 30% of what we had stored." Anna's stomach dropped. 30% of their winter feed, with months of cold still ahead. "We'll manage," she said. "We always do. We're already running thin, with William needing care, not enough hands to do the work." Nate's jaw clenched. "Now this." Anna knelt in front of him, took his hands in hers. They were like ice. She began to rub them gently, trying to restore circulation. "Look at me," she said. Nate opened his eyes. They were clouded with pain and exhaustion and something deeper. Defeat. "We'll figure it out," Anna said again, firmer this time. "Tomorrow, when the storm passes. But right now you need to get warm before you lose those fingers." She kept rubbing his hands. Slowly, painfully, color began to return. Nate hissed as feeling came back. "Hurts," he muttered. "I know, that's good. Pain means the tissue's alive." She didn't know where the knowledge came from. Some instinct, some half-remembered lesson from a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. They stayed like that for a long time. Anna kneeling on the floor, Nate's hands in hers, the fire crackling between them. Finally, Nate's shaking began to subside. His breathing evened out. "Thank you," he said quietly. Anna looked up, met his eyes. In the firelight, they looked different, softer, vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen before. "You saved the horses," she said. "That's what matters. I'm supposed to be the one doing the saving." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Not the other way around." "Maybe," Anna said, "we can save each other." The words hung in the air between them, weighted with meaning neither of them was ready to acknowledge. Nate's eyes searched her face, looking for something, finding it maybe because his expression shifted, became something Anna couldn't quite name. Anna. Her name and his voice sounded different, rougher. "I need to tell you something." She waited, heart pounding for reasons that had nothing to do with the storm. "The reason I came back, to help William, it wasn't just because he's my brother." "I know," Anna said softly. "I heard you that night, talking about Rachel." Nate flinched. "You heard." "The walls are thin." He pulled his hands from hers, stood, moved away from the fire, away from her. "Then you know," he said, his back to her, "that I'm the reason my wife died, the reason my child died. I wanted something so badly I stopped seeing the cost." Anna rose, stayed where she was, giving him space. "You wanted a family," she said. "That's not a crime. It is when it kills people." The doctor said her heart was weak. And I ignored him. Nate's voice was raw. "I told Rachel it would be fine, that we'd take it slow, that I'd take care of her, I promised." He turned to face Anna. "She died screaming my name, begging me to save her. And I couldn't. I just stood there and watched her die." Anna's throat was tight. "I'm sorry." "Don't be, it was my fault." Nate's laugh was bitter. "William thinks I'm here trying to earn redemption, by taking care of him, by helping you and Tommy. Like if I save enough people, somehow the scales will balance." "Will they?" "No." The word was flat, final. "Nothing balances death. Nothing makes it right." Anna thought about her father, about the girls still trapped in Boston with men like Silas, about all the people she couldn't save, hadn't saved, would never be able to save. "No," she agreed quietly. "Nothing makes it right, but maybe that's not the point." Nate looked at her, waiting. Maybe, Anna said, the point is just to keep trying anyway, even knowing it won't fix what's broken, even knowing you can't undo the past. She paused. Maybe the point is just to be less alone in the trying. The silence that followed was heavy, full of things neither of them knew how to say. Outside, the storm howled. The wind tore at the house. The cold pressed in from every side, but inside the fire burned. And two broken people stood in its light trying to figure out if healing was possible. If forgiveness was something you could give yourself. If maybe, just maybe, there was a path forward that didn't require you to carry every sin alone. Anna didn't have answers. But looking at Nate's face at the pain and hope and fear written there, she thought maybe the questions were enough. For now, for tonight. The storm lasted 3 days. 3 days of wind that never stopped. Of snow that piled up to the windows. Of cold so intense that Anna worried the house itself might freeze. They burned through the wood Nate had chopped. Anna rationed their food-making meals stretched further than they should have been able to. Tommy helped where he could, carrying water, tending the fire, keeping William company when Anna had other work. Nate couldn't go back outside. The cold had damaged his hands worse than Anna had first realized. They swelled up, turned purple and black in places. She made poultices from herbs she found in the kitchen, wrapped his hands in clean cloth, made him keep them elevated. He obeyed. Barely, sat by the fire like a caged animal, restless and frustrated. I should be out there, he said for the 100th time, checking the animals, making sure the barn doesn't collapse entirely. You'll lose those hands if you go out there, Anna said. Then you won't be able to help anyone. Nate glared at her, but he stayed inside. On the second night, William's condition worsened. Anna noticed it when she brought him dinner. He was flushed, feverish. His breathing was labored. William, she set down the tray, pressed her hand to his forehead. He was burning up. Cold, William muttered. So cold. Anna piled more blankets on him, but he kept shaking, kept saying he was cold even as sweat beaded on his forehead. Nate, Anna called. He was there in seconds. Took one look at his brother and went pale. It's his lungs, Nate said. Happens sometimes. He can't cough properly. Can't clear them. Gets pneumonia. What do we do? Keep him warm. Keep him drinking. Pray. Nate's voice was tight. The doctor in town has medicine, but we can't get there. Not in this storm. Anna looked at William, at his labored breathing, at the flush spreading across his chest. How long? She asked quietly. Without medicine? Nate closed his eyes. Maybe 3 days, maybe less. Anna's mind raced. 3 days. The storm might last that long, might last longer. There has to be something, she said. Some way to help him. There isn't. Nate's voice was hollow. All we can do is wait and hope. But Anna had spent too much of her life waiting and hoping. It never worked. Hope was for people who had other options. She went to the kitchen, started going through the shelves, looking for anything that might help. Willow bark for fever, mullein for lungs, honey to soothe the throat. She found some. Not enough, not nearly enough. But she made tea anyway, strong and bitter, made William drink it even though he protested. It tastes like death, he croaked. Then it's appropriate, Anna said, because that's what we're fighting. William managed a weak smile, drank the tea. Anna sat with him through the night, bathed his forehead with cool cloths when the fever spiked, held his hand when the chills made him shake so hard the bed rattled. Nate stayed too, sat on the other side of the bed, the two of them keeping vigil. At some point in the dark hours before dawn, William opened his eyes, looked at them both. I heard you, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. The other night, talking. Anna and Nate exchanged glances. You should rest, Anna said. No. William's grip on her hand tightened. Need to say this, while I can. They waited. I'm dying, William said, simply, without fear. Not just from this, from everything. My body's giving up. I can feel it. Don't talk like that, Nate said roughly. Why not? It's true. William looked at his brother. The doctor told you. 6 months to a year. That was before the pneumonia. Nate said nothing. Confirmation in his silence. William turned to Anna. I want you to know I don't regret it. Writing that letter, bringing you here, even though I can't be the husband I promised. William, let me finish. He paused, gathering strength. You and Nate, I see how you look at each other. Anna's breath caught. It's all right, William continued. More than all right, you deserve happiness. Both of you, and when I'm gone, he had to stop, cough. It racked his whole body. Anna helped him drink water, waited until he could breathe again. When I'm gone, William said again, promise me you won't let guilt destroy what you could have. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Nate stood, walked out of the room. The door closed behind him with careful control. William looked at Anna. He'll punish himself for being alive when I'm not, for feeling something for you while I'm still breathing. He's good at punishment. Anna couldn't speak, couldn't process what William was saying. Don't let him, William said. Don't let either of you waste time on guilt. Life's too short, even when it's not being cut shorter. He closed his eyes, exhausted from the effort of speaking. Anna sat there holding his hand, watching his labored breathing, thinking about impossible things. About a man dying in a bed who wanted her to be happy. About a man haunted by ghosts who looked at her like she might be salvation. About herself broken and afraid somehow, caught between them. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, Anna made a decision. If William died, she would not let Nate drown in guilt. Would not let herself drown either. They would find a way forward, together. Or they would die training. On the third day, the storm broke. Anna woke to silence. The terrible howling wind had stopped. She went to the window, looked out. The world was buried in white, snow higher than the porch railing. The barn was barely visible, half collapsed on one side. But the sky was clear, blue and cold and achingly beautiful. They had survived. William's fever had broken during the night. He was still weak, still fighting the pneumonia, but he was alive, breathing easier. It's a miracle, Nate said. He stood at William's bedside, looking down at his sleeping brother. I thought we'd lost him. We almost did, Anna said. They stood together in the quiet room. Outside, she could hear water dripping, the snow beginning to melt in the sun. I need to check the damage, Nate said. See what we lost. Your hands are better, good enough. He flexed them. They were still swollen, still discolored, but functional. I'll be careful. He left. Anna heard him moving through the house, the door opening, his footsteps crunching through snow. She stayed with William, changed his bedding, helped him sip broth, read to him from his Bible when he asked. He was different now, quieter, like he'd used up all his words in the storm and had none left. Or maybe he'd said everything that needed saying. Tommy ventured outside for the first time in days. Anna watched him from the window, watched him tunnel through snowdrifts laughing. The resilience of children, the way they could find joy even in the aftermath of disaster. Nate was gone for hours. When he finally came back, his expression was grim. How bad? Anna asked. Bad. Lost about half the barn. Most of the feed got wet or buried. 3 chickens froze. One of the horses has frostbite. He sat heavily at the table. We'll make it through winter. Barely, but we'll have nothing left for spring planting. Anna did the math in her head. No spring planting meant no crops next summer. No crops meant no money. No money meant they couldn't keep the ranch running. What will you do? I don't know. Nate rubbed his face. Sell some livestock, maybe. Try to find work in town, something. He looked at her. I can still pay your wages. For now. I'm not worried about wages. You should be. You and Tommy need to eat too. Anna thought about the 7 cents in her pocket, about how little money mattered when you were fighting just to survive one more day. One problem at a time, she said quietly. Nate laughed, no humor in it. That's what I said about the feed, about the roof, about everything. He stood. I need to sleep. Haven't slept properly in 3 days. He started toward the door, stopped, turned back. Anna, what William said, about us. He couldn't finish the sentence. Anna waited, heart pounding. He's wrong, Nate said. There is no us. Can't be. Not while he's alive. Not while, he trailed it off. Not while you're punishing yourself, Anna finished. Nate's jaw tightened. I'm being realistic. No, you're being afraid. The words hung between them, true and cruel. Maybe, Nate said, but fear keeps you alive, keeps you from making mistakes. Or, Anna said quietly, it keeps you from living at all. Nate held her gaze for a long moment. Then he shook his head, walked out. Anna stood alone at the kitchen. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the snow orange and gold. She thought about William's words, about Nate's fear, about her own, about how they were all trapped by circumstance, by duty, by the weights they carried. And she wondered if freedom was even possible, or if this was all there was, this careful dance around truth, this constant negotiation with disaster, this slow suffocation of everything that might have been. 1 week after the storm, a letter arrived. The mail rider had to use snowshoes to reach the ranch. He handed Nate a single envelope, dirt-stained and creased. Nate read it, went very still. "What is it?" Anna asked. He handed her the letter without a word. It was from a lawyer in Pine Ridge, formal legal language, but the meaning was clear. Silas Brennan had filed a claim against Anna Barrett for theft of property and breach of contract. The letter included a supposed contract, signed in Anna's handwriting. 5 years of service in exchange for room and board. Witnessed and notarized. Anna stared at the signature. It looked like hers, but she'd never signed such a thing, never agreed to 5 years. "It's a forgery," she said. Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. "Can you prove that Anna tried to think, tried to remember. "I don't know, maybe. How would I? You'd need witnesses, documentation, something that contradicts his claim." Anna had nothing, no papers, no proof of where she'd been or what she'd done, just her word against Silas's. And Silas had always been better at words. "The hearing is in 2 weeks, Nate said, in Pine Ridge. 2 weeks, 14 days. Then Silas would have his chance, would stand in front of a judge and paint Anna as a thief, a runaway, someone who owed him not just money but years of her life. And if the judge believed him, Tommy, Anna whispered, he'll take Tommy, because that was the real threat. The contract didn't just claim Anna owed Silas service. It claimed he was Tommy's legal guardian, that the boy was his responsibility, that Anna had no right to him. Nate's hand came down on the table, hard, the sound like a gunshot in the quiet room. "No," he said, "he won't. You can't stop a judge's order. I can try." Nate's eyes were hard, determined. There has to be a way, some legal argument, some loophole. Anna wanted to believe him, but she'd seen how the law worked, how it bent to accommodate men like Silas, how it broke to punish women like her. "Maybe I should just go," she said, "give myself up, agree to work for him. If I do that, maybe he'll leave Tommy alone." "No." Nate grabbed her shoulders, made her look at him. "Listen to me. You go back to that man, you won't be working for him. You'll be his prisoner, his property, and eventually he'll take Tommy anyway because men like that always want more." Anna knew he was right, knew it with the certainty of experience. But what choice did she have? "I need to think," she said, pulled away from Nate's grip. "I need to figure out what to do." She went to her room, closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. 2 weeks, 14 days until her world ended, unless she ran, took Tommy and disappeared into the vast Western territory, changed their names, found some other town where Silas couldn't reach them. But Silas had found them here, would find them again, and again, and again. There was no running far enough. Anna closed her eyes, thought about William in his bed, about Nate with his damaged hands and his ghosts, about Tommy finally starting to smile again, about this place that had almost started to feel like home. She was done running, done letting fear make her choices. This time she would stay. She would fight, even knowing the odds were against her. That night, Anna sat with William. He was awake, propped up on pillows, still weak but improving daily. "I heard about the letter," he said. "News travels fast. Nate told me he's trying to figure out how to help." Anna smiled, small and sad. "There's no help for this. Silas has the law on his side." William was quiet for a moment. Then, "What if you weren't alone? What if you had a husband, legal protection?" Anna's heart skipped. "William, you're barely strong enough to sit up. You can't." "Not me." William's eyes were clear, knowing. "Nate," the room seemed to tilt. "We could arrange a divorce," William continued, calm, like he was discussing crop rotation instead of ending his marriage. Quick, legal. Then you could marry Nate. A married woman has different protections. Silas couldn't claim you as easily. That's not, Anna couldn't find words. William, that's not why I'm here. I'm not trying to marry your brother. I know, but maybe you should be. William reached for her hand. His grip was weak but steady. Anna, I'm dying. Maybe not today, maybe not this month, but soon. I can feel it in my bones. My body's giving up piece by piece. Don't say that. Why not? It's true, Ohio. He squeezed her hand gently. And when I'm gone, Silas will still be a threat. The law will still be a threat. But if you're Nate's wife legally bound with a husband to vouch for you, he trailed off. It's not perfect, but it's something. Anna pulled her hand away, stood, paced to the window. You're asking me to marry a man I barely know, she said. A man who doesn't want to marry me, who can't even in the same room as me without looking guilty. Because he feels something for you, William said, and he thinks that's a betrayal of me. But Anna, I release him from that. I release both of you. It's not that simple. Isn't it? William's voice was gentle. You need protection. Nate needs redemption. Maybe you can give each other both. Anna turned to look at him. At this kind, dying man who was offering her his brother like a gift. What about what I want? She asked, angry now. What about choice? What do you want, Anna? The question stopped her cold because she didn't know, hadn't let herself think about what she wanted in so long, had spent years just trying to survive, to keep Tommy safe, to make it through one more day. Want was a luxury. Want was dangerous. I want to be safe, she said finally. I want Tommy to be safe. I want... She stopped, couldn't say the rest. You want Nate, William said quietly. I've seen how you look at him, behind him. Anna's face flushed. That's not... It's all right, more than all right. He's a good man, better than he thinks he is. He'll keep you safe, keep Tommy safe. And maybe if you're both very lucky, you'll find something more than safety. He paused, coughed. The effort left him breathless. Think about it, he said when he could speak again. You have 2 weeks until the hearing. 2 weeks to decide if you want to fight Silas with a legal husband or fight him alone. What about you? What do you want? William smiled. It was the saddest, most beautiful smile Anna had ever seen. I want to die knowing I helped someone, he said, that my existence meant something, that I wasn't just a burden who wasted everyone's time and resources. You're not a burden. Then let me do this. Let me give you and Nate a chance at something better. His eyes were wet. Please, Anna, let me leave something good behind. Anna couldn't speak, could barely breathe, because she understood now. This wasn't just about protecting her. This was about William trying to find meaning in his shortened life, trying to leave a legacy that mattered. And how could she deny him that? I'll think about it, she whispered. William nodded, closed his eyes. Within moments, he was asleep. Anna stood there in the quiet room, listening to his labored breathing, trying to make sense of impossible choices. Marry Nate to fight Silas. Marry a man who looked at her with guilt and want tangled together. A man who blamed himself for death and couldn't forgive his own survival. Or face the hearing alone. Face Silas's lies and lawyers and probably lose everything. There was no good choice, there never was. Just different kinds of disaster. And the terrible questions of which one she could live with. She found Nate in the barn. He was working on the damaged roof by lamplight, hammering boards into place with hands that were still healing. You'll hurt yourself, Anna said. Nate didn't stop working. Already did. What's a little more? Anna climbed the ladder, stood on the beam beside him. This close, she could see the exhaustion on his face, the pain in every movement. William talked to you, Nate said. Not a question. Yes. About his proposal, the marriage. Yes. Nate drove another nail home. The sound echoed in the barn. And what did you say? I said I'd think about it. Don't. Anna's breath caught. Don't think about it. Don't agree to it. Nate finally stopped working, looked at her. William means well, but marriage to me won't solve your problems. It'll just create new ones. Such as being tied to a man who can't love you properly, who'll always see his dead wife when he looks at you, who'll spend the rest of his life trying to earn forgiveness that doesn't exist. His honesty was brutal. Anna appreciated it. And if I don't marry you, she asked, what happens when Silas wins the hearing? When the judge orders me back to Boston, orders Tommy into Silas's custody? Nate's jaw tightened. I won't let that happen. How you can't fight the law? I can fight Silas. With what violence you think killing him will solve anything? Anna shook her head. That'll just land you in prison. Leave me alone anyway. Leave William alone. Then what do you want me to do? Nate's voice rose. Just watch you get dragged back to that monster watch Tommy, get handed over to a man who burns children with cigars. I want you to marry me. The words fell between them like stones. Nate stared at her. You don't mean that. I do. William's right. It's the only legal protection I have. The only chance. Anna stepped closer. I know it's not what you want. I know you're still grieving Rachel. But I'm not asking you to love me. I'm asking you to save me. That's not fair, Nate said roughly. You can't ask me to. Why not? You've been trying to save everyone else. William, me, Tommy, every stray soul that crosses your path. Why does marrying me make it different? Because marriage is supposed to mean something. It does mean something. It means protection, security, a legal bond that Silas can't break. Anna held his gaze. And maybe eventually it could mean more. But right now I just need it to mean safe. Nate turned away, gripped the edge of the beam. His knuckles went white. I can't be what you need, he said. His voice was broken. I couldn't save Rachel. Couldn't save my child. Everything I love dies. Then don't love me, Anna said. Simple, practical. Just marry me. Be my husband on paper. Give me your name. That's all I'm asking. For how long? Until Silas is gone. Until the threat is over. Then we can divorce. You can have your freedom back. Nate laughed, still no humor in it. Freedom? You think I want freedom? I think you want redemption, Anna said. And maybe saving me, really saving me, is how you get it. She waited, watching his shoulders shake, watching him war with himself. Finally, he turned back. If we do this, he said slowly, there are conditions. Anna's heart raced. Name them. William divorces you first, properly, legally. I won't steal my brother's wife. Agreed. The marriage is real. Legal, but private. We don't share a bed until you want to, if you ever want to. Anna nodded. Agreed. And if you change your mind, if you want out, you tell me. No questions, no arguments. You just tell me and I let you go. Agreed. Nate searched her face, looking for doubt, for fear, finding only determination. This is insane, he said. I know. It probably won't even work. Silas will find a way around it. Maybe, but at least we'll have tried. Nate closed his eyes, drew a long breath. When he opened them again, something had shifted in his expression. Decision, acceptance, maybe even a glimmer of hope. All right, he said. We'll do it. Anna felt something loosen in her chest, relief so powerful it made her dizzy. Thank you, she whispered. Nate shook his head. Don't thank me, not yet. You don't know what you're signing up for. Neither do you. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. I guess we'll find out together. He offered his hand. Anna took it. His palm was rough-scarred, still healing from the cold, but his grip was steady. And for the first time since Richard Hayes had spoken Silas's name, Anna let herself believe they might actually survive this. Together. The divorce papers arrived 3 days later. William had dictated them to the doctor who'd witnessed and notarized the document. Clean, legal, citing irreconcilable differences in William's physical inability to fulfill marital duties. Anna signed her name with a hand that didn't shake, watched the ink dry, felt the weight of one marriage ending even as another prepared to begin. William watched from his bed. His face was peaceful. No regrets, Anna asked. None. He smiled. I was never really your husband, just a man who wrote a letter and made promises I couldn't keep. You kept the ones that mattered. William's eyes glistened. Thank you for saying that. The wedding was set for 2 days before the hearing. Quick, practical. No ceremony, no celebration. Just paperwork and vows and the hope that it would be enough. Anna spent those days in a strange state of suspension. Not quite married to William anymore. Not yet married to Nate. Existing in the space between where nothing was certain and everything felt fragile. She helped William with his exercises, the small movements the doctor had said might prevent his muscles from atrophying completely. She cooked, cleaned, kept the house running, tried not to think about what was coming. Tommy noticed the tension, asked questions she couldn't quite answer. "Why are you marrying Mr. Nate?" he asked one evening. His young face was serious, worried. Anna chose her words carefully. "Because sometimes people need to help each other. Mr. Nate is helping us. This is how I help him back." "But do you love him?" The question pierced her because she didn't know what love was supposed to feel like when it wasn't wrapped in fear and obligation. She knew Nate made her feel safe, knew she thought about him more than she should, knew the sight of him working in the fields made something in her chest tighten. But love, that word felt too big, too dangerous. "I care about him," Anna said carefully, "and he cares about us. That's enough for now." Tommy seemed to accept this, nodded, then quieter. "I like him. He doesn't yell, doesn't hit." He paused. "He's not like Uncle Silas." Anna pulled Tommy close. "No, he's nothing like Uncle Silas." She felt the boy relax against her. Trusting, safe. Whatever happened at the hearing, whatever came after, she would protect this. Would protect Tommy's newfound peace. His ability to sleep without nightmares. Even if it cost her everything. The day before the wedding, Mrs. Louise Gardner arrived. She came in a wagon bringing supplies and news. The older woman had become a quiet ally, checking on them after the storm, spreading word in town that the Whitmores were respectable folk helping a widow and her brother. Anna hadn't corrected the widow part. Let people think what they wanted. Louise embraced Anna like a daughter. "I heard about the wedding. Thought you might need help preparing." "It's not that kind of wedding," Anna said. "Just signing papers." "Every wedding needs witness." Louise set down her basket. "And every bride needs someone to stand with her." Anna felt her throat tighten. She'd had no one for so long. The kindness of it nearly broke her. Louise stayed through the evening, helped Anna mend her best dress, the one that wasn't quite threadbare, showed her how to arrange her hair in a way that looked intentional rather than desperate. "You're doing a brave thing," Louise said as she worked. "Marrying to protect yourself. Not many women have the courage." "I don't feel brave. I feel terrified." "That's how you know it's real bravery. The kind that happens when you're scared, but you do it anyway." Louise pinned another section of hair. "Nate Whitmore is a good man. Troubled but good. He'll keep his word." "I know." "Do you?" Louise met Anna's eyes in the mirror. "Because I see fear in your face, and it's not just fear of Silas." Anna looked away. "I don't know how to be a wife, a real wife. What if I fail?" "Marriage isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, being honest, trying." Louise's voice was gentle. "And from what I've seen, you're already doing that." Anna wanted to believe her, wanted to think that maybe, just maybe, she could make this work. But doubt was a familiar companion. It whispered all the ways this could go wrong, all the ways she could hurt Nate, all the ways he could hurt her. "What if he never stops seeing his dead wife when he looks at me?" Anna asked quietly. Louise was silent for a long moment. "Then maybe he won't. Maybe Rachel will always be there, a ghost between you." "But Anna, you're not trying to replace her. You're just trying to survive. And if Nate can help you do that, if you can help him heal even a little, then maybe that's enough." "Is it enough?" "Only you can answer that." Anna looked at her reflection. Saw a woman who'd survived things that should have broken her, who'd kept her brother safe through hell, who'd run across a continent to escape a monster. That woman could do this, could marry a stranger, could stand in front of a judge and defend her right to exist. She had to believe that, had to. The wedding took place in the main room of the house. No church, no guests beyond Louise and the doctor who'd come to witness. William watched from his bed through the open door, too weak to sit up for long, but determined to see it. Anna wore her mended dress, her hair arranged the way Louise had shown her. She looked almost presentable, almost like a real bride. Nate wore clean clothes, his beard trimmed, his hair combed back. He looked uncomfortable, like the shirt collar was strangling him. The justice of the peace from Pine Ridge read the words. Fast, perfunctory. This was a legal transaction, not a celebration. Do you, Nathaniel Whitmore, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? Nate's eyes found Anna's. She saw the war in them, the guilt, the fear, the determination. I do, he said. His voice was rough but steady. I choose her. The same words he'd used before. I choose her, like it was a decision he made actively, not just something he agreed to. Anna felt something shift in her chest. Do you, Anna Barrett, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Anna looked at Nate, at this hard-broken man who'd given her safety when he had none himself, who'd promised to protect Tommy, who was marrying her not out of love, but out of something maybe better. Conviction. I do, she said. I choose him. The words felt true, real, more real than any vow she'd spoken to William. The justice pronounced them married, man and wife, bound by law and paper in desperate hope. There was no kiss, no embrace, just a moment of eye contact, recognition. We're in this now, Anna thought, together, for better or worse, though she suspected worse was coming. Louise hugged them both. The doctor shook Nate's hand. William called congratulations from his bed, his voice weak but genuinely happy. And then it was done. Anna was Anna Whitmore now, legally, irrevocably, at least until the divorce Nate had promised, until she chose to leave. But standing in that room feeling the weight of new vows, Anna couldn't imagine leaving. This was home, imperfect and complicated, and built on foundations of trauma and necessity. But home nonetheless. That night, Nate made good on his promise. He carried his bedroll to the barn, gave Anna the bedroom, maintained the distance. Anna lay in the dark, listening to the house settle around her. This room had been William's. Now it was hers. Tomorrow it might be hers and Nate's, or it might be empty. If Silas won, if the judge didn't believe their marriage was real. Anna pressed her hand against the mattress, felt the solid reality of it. She was married, protected, legally bound to a man who had sworn to keep her safe. It had to be enough. She willed it to be enough. The hearing was set for Thursday morning. They made the journey to Pine Ridge the day before, wanting to be rested and ready. Nate drove the wagon. Anna sat beside him wearing her best dress again. Tommy was bundled in the back with blankets. They'd left William in Jacob's care, the ranch hand moving into the house to help while they were gone. The ride was quiet, tense. Anna kept her hands folded in her lap to hide their shaking. Nate noticed anyway, reached over, took one of her hands in his. The gesture was simple, unexpected. It made Anna's breath catch. We'll get through this, Nate said. Not a question, a statement of fact. Anna nodded, couldn't speak past the tightness in her throat. They stayed at the small hotel in town. Louise had arranged separate rooms, one for Nate, one for Anna and Tommy, maintaining appearances even now. Anna barely slept, spent the night going over what she'd say, how she'd present herself, what Silas might claim. Every scenario ended badly. Morning came too soon, gray and cold. Anna dressed with numb fingers, braided her hair with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Tommy watched her with worried eyes. It'll be all right, Anna lied. Everything will be fine. The courthouse was a simple building. Wood frame, American flag hanging limp in the still air. Anna climbed the steps feeling like she was walking to her own execution. Inside the courtroom was small, rows of benches, a judge's bench at the front, cold and impersonal. And there on the opposite side of the room sat Silas. Anna's heart stopped. He looked exactly as she remembered. That same predatory posture. The calculating eyes that had watched her across dinner tables in Boston. Dressed in an expensive suit that made him look like a judge instead of the monster he was. He saw her, smiled. It was the smile that made Anna's stomach turn. Possessive, certain, like he'd already won. Nate's hand found the small of her back. Steady, grounding. Breathe, he murmured. Just breathe. Anna forced air into her lungs, made herself walk to their seats, made herself sit. Tommy pressed against her side. She could feel him shaking. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Morrison took his seat, an older man with white hair and sharp eyes. We're here regarding the matter of Brennan versus Barrett, the judge said. He looked at the papers before him. Mr. Brennan, you claim Miss Barrett is in breach of a labor contract and that you are the legal guardian of the minor child, Thomas Barrett. Is that correct? Silas stood, smooth, confident. That's correct, Your Honor. My niece Anna entered into a 5-year contract of employment after her father's death. I provided housing, food, education for both her and her brother. In exchange, she agreed to work in my household. He produced papers. The forged contract. It looked official, legitimate. Anna fled 3 months ago, Silas continued, taking her brother without permission. She owes me compensation for her breach of contract, and as Thomas's legal guardian, I have the right to his custody. The judge examined the papers. These appear to be in order. Do you have witnesses to corroborate your claim? I do, Your Honor. Character witnesses from Boston who can speak to my generosity and Anna's ungrateful behavior. Anna felt the trap closing. This was it. The moment Silas had planned for. The judge turned to Anna. Miss Barrett, how do you respond to these allegations? Anna stood. Her legs felt like water, but her voice came out steady. I'm not Miss Barrett anymore, Your Honor. I'm Mrs. Whitmore. I married Nathaniel Whitmore 4 days ago. Silas's smile faltered, just for a moment, then returned sharper. A convenient marriage, he said, timed perfectly to avoid her legal obligations. A legal marriage, Nate said. He stood beside Anna, properly witnessed and recorded. Anna is my wife, under my protection. Any claims against her pass through me. The judge frowned. When did this marriage take place? 6 days ago, Nate said. We received notice of this hearing. But the relationship predates that. Anna has been living at my ranch for over a month, caring for my brother. We married when it became clear her uncle intended to use the law to harass her. Harass, Silas's voice rose. I'm trying to reclaim property that was stolen from me. She's not property, Nate said coldly. She's a woman, my wife, and you'll speak of her with respect. The judge held up his hand. Gentlemen, I'll hear all arguments in turn. Mr. Brennan, present your case. Silas called his witnesses. 2 men from Boston. Both testified that Silas was upstanding, that he'd taken in his orphaned niece and nephew out of Christian charity, that Anna had repaid him with theft and lies. They made it sound plausible, reasonable. Anna felt sick. Then it was their turn. Nate called Louise Gardner first. She testified to Anna's character, how hard she worked, how devoted she was to Tommy, how she'd helped care for William without complaint. In your opinion, Nate asked, is Anna Whitmore the type of person who would steal? Absolutely not, Louise said firmly. That young woman has more integrity in her smallest finger than most people have in their whole bodies. Next, the doctor. He testified to William's condition, confirmed that Anna had provided excellent care, that William himself had encouraged the marriage between Anna and Nate. Did William Whitmore seem coerced, the judge asked. No, Your Honor. He seemed relieved, happy even. Said he wanted his brother to have a companion, wanted Anna to have protection. The judge made notes. His expression was unreadable. Then Nate called Tommy. Anna's heart clenched. They'd agreed Tommy shouldn't have to testify, that putting a 9-year-old on the stand was too cruel. But Nate had insisted, had said sometimes the truth needed a voice, even a small one. Tommy walked to the witness box. So small, so frightened. The judge looked at him gently. Son, you don't have to be scared. Just tell the truth. Can you do that? Tommy nodded. Did you live with your uncle Silas? The judge asked. Yes, sir. Was he kind to you? Tommy's hand went to his right arm, to the scar hidden beneath his sleeve. No, sir. Can you tell me why not? Tommy looked at Anna. She nodded, tried to smile encouragement. Slowly, Tommy rolled up his sleeve, showed the burn scar, perfect circle, old but permanent. The courtroom went silent. My uncle did that, Tommy said. His voice was small but clear. With his cigar, because I cried when I was hungry. Silas shot to his feet. That's a lie, the boy burned himself. I tried to help him. Mr. Brennan, sit down, the judge ordered. His voice was cold. He looked at Tommy with new eyes. Are there other scars, son? Yes, sir. On my back, my legs. Tommy's voice shook. He said if I told anyone he'd hurt Anna worse. Anna pressed her hand to her mouth, trying not to cry. The judge's expression had hardened. And your sister, did he hurt her too? Tommy nodded. He tried. That's why we ran. She said if we stayed, Uncle Silas would. would do bad things, things she couldn't protect me from. Objection, Silas's lawyer stood. The child is obviously coached, telling stories to gain sympathy. I've seen enough, the judge said. He looked at Silas with disgust. Those scars are real. A child doesn't lie about that kind of pain. He turned to Anna. Ms. Whitmore, did you sign this contract willingly? No, Your Honor. I never signed any contract. My uncle forged my signature. Can you prove that? Anna's heart sank. No, I have no documents, no proof beyond my word. I have proof, a voice said from the back of the room. Everyone turned. A woman stood in the doorway, middle-aged, well-dressed. Anna had never seen her before. Who are you? The judge asked. My name is Margaret Brennan, the woman said. She walked forward. I'm Silas Brennan's wife. Silas went pale. Margaret, what are you? I'm here to tell the truth, Margaret said. Her voice was steady, strong. About my husband, about what he's done. She approached the bench, handed the judge a folder. These are financial records, she said, showing that Silas gambled away most of our savings. He needs money desperately. That's why he's pursuing Anna. Not for breach of contract, but because he planned to sell her. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Anna couldn't breathe, couldn't process what she was hearing. Margaret continued, there's a man in Boston, runs a brothel. He pays well for young women, especially ones with no family, no protection. She looked at Anna. Silas was negotiating the sale when you ran. You cost him $300. Anna's vision swam all this time. All of Silas's talk about duty and obligation and Christian charity, he'd been planning to sell her. These are serious allegations, the judge said. He was reading through the documents, his face growing darker with each page. I have letters, Margaret said, correspondence between Silas and the brothel owner, discussing price, discussing specifications. She couldn't hide the disgust in her voice. I found them last week. I've been following him, trying to figure out what to do. When I heard about this hearing, I knew I had to come forward. Margaret, Silas hissed, you're lying. You're trying to destroy me because I want a divorce. I want a divorce because you're a monster, Margaret said calmly. These documents prove it. And if the court wants to investigate the 2 other wards you had before Anna, the ones who mysteriously disappeared, I have information about that too. The judge looked at Silas with cold fury. Mr. Brennan, I'm denying your claim in full. Furthermore, I'm ordering an investigation into your conduct. If these allegations prove true, you'll face criminal charges. He turned to Anna. Mrs. Whitmore, the court finds no evidence of a valid contract. You owe Mr. Brennan nothing. Your marriage is recognized as legal and binding. You have full custody of your brother Thomas. He paused. I'm also issuing a restraining order. Mr. Brennan is not to contact you or your family in any way. If he violates this order, he will be arrested immediately. Anna couldn't move, couldn't speak. It was too much, too sudden. They'd won. Silas was on his feet, shouting, his mask of respectability shattered. You can't do this. She's mine. That boy is mine. I own them. The bailiff grabbed him. Silas struggled, still screaming. I'll find you. I'll make you pay. You can't escape me. But his words grew fainter as he was dragged from the courtroom. And then there was silence. Anna turned to Margaret. This stranger who'd saved her. Why? Anna whispered. Why would you help me? Margaret's eyes were sad, knowing. Because I was you once, young, trapped, thinking there was no way out. She touched Anna's hand gently. Someone helped me. Now I'm helping you. That's how we survive, isn't it? By pulling each other up. She left before Anna could thank her properly. Walked out of the courtroom with her head high. Anna stood there, Nate beside her, Tommy pressed against her side. Free. They were free. The word felt impossible, unreal. But the judge's order was real. Silas's restraining order was real. For the first time in years, Anna could breathe without fear. They left the courthouse in a daze. The winter sun was bright, blinding. The world looked different, sharper, more vivid. Louise was waiting outside. She embraced Anna hard. I knew you'd win, she said. Knew the truth would come out. Anna couldn't speak, could only hold on and try not to fall apart. Nate's hand found her shoulder, steady, present. Let's go home, he said quietly. Home. The word had never sounded so beautiful. The journey back to the ranch felt different from the journey there. Lighter, like the weight Anna had been carrying for years had finally lifted. Tommy fell asleep in the back of the wagon, exhausted from the testimony and the relief. Anna watched him sleep, watched his face relax, watched the fear drain away. He's going to be all right, Nate said. Not a question, a certainty. Yes, Anna agreed. He is. They rode in comfortable silence for a while. The land stretched out around them, vast and clean and full of possibility. Finally, Anna spoke. Thank you. Nate glanced at her. For what? For marrying me, for standing beside me, for... She couldn't finish. There were too many things to thank him for. You don't need to thank me, Nate said. We're married. This is what married people do. They stand together. Is it really? Anna looked at him. Because we both know this marriage was a transaction. Protection for your name. You don't have to pretend it's more. Nate was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low. Careful. What if I want it to be more? Anna's heart stuttered. What? I've been thinking, Nate said. He kept his eyes on the road. About William's words. About not letting guilt destroy what we could have. He paused. And I realized something. I've been so focused on punishing myself for Rachel's death that I forgot how to live, how to feel anything except pain. He finally looked at her. You make me feel things, Anna. Things I thought I'd buried with Rachel. And yes, it scares me. Yes, I feel guilty. But maybe, he took a breath, maybe that guilt is just fear in disguise. Fear of trying again. Fear of failing again. Anna couldn't breathe. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't want this marriage to be temporary. I don't want to divorce you when the threat is over. His eyes searched hers. I want to try, really try, to build something real. Anna's hands were shaking. You don't have to say that. Silas is gone. I don't need protection anymore. You can have your freedom. I don't want freedom, Nate interrupted. I want you if you'll have me. Not as a transaction, not as protection, but as a husband, a real one. The world seemed to stop. Anna looked at this man, this hard-broken, beautiful man who'd given her everything when he had nothing to give. I don't know how to be a wife, she said. Her voice was small. A real wife. I don't know how to love someone without fear. Neither do I, Nate said, but maybe we can learn together. Anna thought about all the reasons this was a bad idea, all the ways they could hurt each other, all the trauma they both carried. But she also thought about the way Nate looked at her, the way he'd stood beside her in court, the way he'd promised to protect Tommy and kept that promise even when it cost him. She thought about home, about belonging, about choosing something instead of just surviving it. All right, she whispered, we'll try him. Nate's expression transformed, relief, joy, something that looked almost like hope. He reached over, took her hand, laced their fingers together, and they rode home like that, hands joined, hearts tentatively opening, two broken people choosing to believe in second chances. William died 3 days after they returned. It was peaceful. He went to sleep one evening and simply didn't wake up. The doctor said his heart had given out, that he'd held on as long as he could, that he was finally at rest. Anna sat beside his bed looking at his still face. He looked younger in death, the pain and worry smoothed away. He waited, Nate said quietly, waited until he knew you were safe, until he knew we'd be all right. How can you know that? Because that's who William was. He always put others first, always made sure everyone else was taken care of before he let himself rest. Nate's voice cracked. He was the best of us. They buried William on the hill behind the house, the same place William had asked to be laid, where he could watch over the ranch, where the sunset painted the mountains gold. The service was small, just Anna, Nate, Tommy, Louise, and a few neighbors. The minister spoke words about eternal rest and God's mercy. Anna watched Nate's face as they lowered his brother into the ground, saw the grief there, the guilt that would probably never fully leave, but also something else. Acceptance, the beginning of peace. After everyone left, after the last shovel of dirt had been tamped down, Anna and Nate stood together at the grave. I need to tell you something, Anna said. Nate waited. I do love him, Anna said. William, but not the way a wife should love a husband. I love him the way you love someone who showed you kindness when you'd forgotten what kindness looked like. She paused. Is that wrong? No, Nate said. I think that's exactly how he wanted to be loved. They were quiet for a moment. Then Anna said, what about you? How do you want to be loved? Nate looked at her, really looked at her. I want to be loved for who I am now, not who I was. Not who I might have been if Rachel had lived. Just this, the damaged, guilty, trying mess of a man standing here. Anna took his hand. I can do that. Can you? Yes. She said it with certainty, because I'm a damaged, scared, trying mess of a woman. And you love me anyway. Nate's breath caught. I do. I love you, Anna. The words hung in the air between them. Simple. True. Terrifying. Anna squeezed his hand. I love you too. It was the first time either of them had said it out loud. The first time they'd made it real. Nate pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her. And for the first time since Rachel had died, since Anna had fled Boston, since any of it had begun, they let themselves feel something other than fear. They let themselves feel hope. 3 months later, spring arrived. The snow melted, the fields turned green, new calves were born. The ranch that had seemed dead in winter came back to life. Anna stood in the doorway of the house watching Nate and Tommy work together to mend a fence. The boy had grown taller, stronger. His laugh came easily now. The nightmares had faded. He called Nate Pa without hesitation, called Anna Ma. They were a family, real and chosen and built from the wreckage of loss. Anna's hand drifted to her belly. The small swell was just beginning to show beneath her apron. She confirmed it with Louise 2 weeks ago. A baby, due in early December. She hadn't told Nate yet, wasn't sure how. After Rachel, after what had happened. But she would tell him, soon, tonight maybe, because this was different. This baby was wanted by both of them. This baby would be born to a mother who was strong, who had help, who had a doctor who would monitor every step. This baby would live. Anna believed that with everything she had. Louise appeared beside her carrying fresh bread. The older woman had become a regular visitor, a friend. The mother Anna had lost so young. You're glowing, Louise said, then shrewd her. You've told him, not yet. He'll be terrified. I know. But happy, underneath the terror. Happy. Anna nodded, watched Nate lift a post into place, watched Tommy hand him nails, watched them work together with the easy rhythm of people who knew each other, trusted each other. Yes, she said, he'll be happy. That evening after Tommy was asleep, Anna and Nate sat on the porch. The spring air was cool but not cold. Stars filled the sky, bright and infinite. There's something I need to tell you, Anna said. Nate went still. All right. I'm pregnant. Silence, long and heavy. Then Nate stood, walked to the edge of the porch, gripped the railing. Anna watched his shoulders shake, watched him struggle. Finally, he turned back. His face was wet. I'm scared, he said, raw, honest. I'm so scared, Anna. What if we're happy? Anna interrupted gently. What if everything goes right? What if our baby is born healthy and perfect and we get to raise them together? Rachel died. I'm not Rachel. Anna stood, walked to him, took his face in her hands. I'm stronger. The doctor knows to watch me. And I have you. I have help. I have everything Rachel didn't have. I can't lose you, Nate whispered. I can't, not after everything. You won't. Anna kissed him, soft, sure. I promise. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise to fight, to take care of myself, to let you take care of me, to trust the doctor, to do everything right. She paused. And I can promise that I want this baby, want our family, want our life together. Nate pulled her close, held her like she might disappear. I want it too, he said into her hair. God help me, I want it so much. Then let yourself have it. Let yourself be happy. Let yourself believe. Nate pulled back, looked at her belly, touched it gently. A baby, he said, wonder creeping into his voice beneath the fear. Our baby. Winter, December, maybe January. Nate did the math, realized. That means, that means I got pregnant right after we decided to make this marriage real. Anna smiled. The universe works fast. A laugh burst out of Nate, surprised, genuine. That it does. He knelt down, pressed his ear to her belly, even though there was nothing to hear yet, nothing but hope and possibility. Hello, he whispered. I'm your father, and I'm terrified of you, but I already love you more than I knew was possible. Anna's hand went to his hair, stroked gently. We're going to be all right, she said. Promise. Promise, Wahan. The baby was born on December 23rd. A girl, healthy and loud and absolutely perfect. They named her Rachel Louise Whitmore, for the wife Nate had lost and the friend who'd helped them survive. The birth was long, difficult. There were moments when Nate's face went white with fear, when Anna thought she might not make it through. But Louise was there. The doctor was there. Nate held Anna's hand and whispered encouragement and reminded her to breathe. And when Rachel finally arrived screaming her displeasure at the cold world, Anna felt something click into place. This. This was what it was all for. The running, the fear, the fighting, this perfect, angry, beautiful baby. Nate cried when he held her. Couldn't stop crying, all the grief and fear and love tangled together until he couldn't tell them apart. She's perfect, he kept saying. She's perfect. Anna watched him with their daughter, watched the way he cradled her so carefully, like she was made of glass and dreams. We did it, Anna said. We made something good. Nate looked at her, eyes shining. We made everything good. Tommy crept into the room, shy, curious. Can I see my sister? He asked. Nate beckoned him over, let him look at the tiny face. She's small, Tommy said. You were small once too, Anna said. Can I hold her? Nate carefully transferred the baby to Tommy's arms, showed him how to support her head. Tommy stared down at Rachel with awe. Hi, he whispered. I'm your big brother. I'm going to protect you, always. Anna's throat tightened. This family, built from nothing, from desperation and hope and the refusal to give up. This was worth everything. Later, when everyone else had left and the baby was sleeping and Nate was holding Anna's hand in the quiet dark, Anna thought about how far they'd come. From a train platform in Pine Ridge to this moment. From strangers bound by necessity to a family bound by choice. What are you thinking? Nate asked softly. I'm thinking about the first time I saw you, Anna said. How you stood in the doorway and told me I shouldn't have come. I was wrong. Yes, you were. And now I can't imagine being anywhere else. Anna looked at him. This is home. Your home, Tommy, Rachel. All of it. Nate brought her hand to his lips, kissed it gently. You saved me, he said. You know that right, I was dying by inches, punishing myself, and you gave me a reason to live again. You saved me first, Anna said. You gave me safety when I had none. You gave Tommy a father. You gave us both a home. I think, Nate said slowly, maybe we saved each other. Anna smiled. I can live with that. They sat together in the peaceful dark, their daughter sleeping between them, their son safe in his bed down the hall, the ranch quiet around them. 6 months from now, Anna would stand before William's grave and tell him thank you. Thank you for the letter, for the chance, for setting in motion everything that had brought her here. 5 years from now, she would watch Tommy graduate from the small school Louise had helped establish, would see him become a man, kind and strong and nothing like Silas. 10 years from now, she would hold her second daughter, then her son, would watch Nate become the father he'd always been meant to be, patient, loving, present. 20 years from now, she would sit on the porch and watch her grandchildren play in the fields, would think about the girl who'd stepped off a train in Pine Ridge, terrified and desperate, would barely recognize her. But all of that was future, possibility, dreams. Right now, there was only this moment, this man, this family, this choice. Anna Barrett Whitmore had come to Colorado as a mail-order bride with no groom, no future, and no hope. She stayed as a woman who'd earned her name, her home, and her happiness. Not by luck, not by rescue, but by choice. By standing when she wanted to run. By fighting when she wanted to surrender. by choosing love when fear would have been easier. She had chosen herself, and in doing so she'd chosen everything. The stars shone overhead, the land stretched out in every direction, and somewhere in the darkness an owl called. The sound of life continuing, of the world turning, of tomorrow coming whether you were ready or not. Anna was ready. Finally, completely joyfully ready. She closed her eyes, felt Nate's hand in hers, heard Rachel's tiny breath, and she let herself believe in forever.